Before we jump into the actual software, it's a good idea that we understand how does NWIS workflow work. Everything we do in NWIS is based around a service, either a service that we are providing or a service that we are provided. Those services are comprised of material, equipment, transportation, and labor, or any combination thereof. Services can be also comprised of none of the above, such as a fee. Services is the link between accounting and operations. It links it so that items or services that have financial components go through finance, but it also links it to operations because it sets the instructions of what needs to occur for certain services or workflow. Operations is concerned about the amount of material that's coming in, the amount of material that has arrived, the amount of material being processed, and the amount of material leaving. Operations is concerned about the equipment being used to process that material, or the equipment being used by our customers out in the field, such as a container of some sort. Operations is concerned about logistics, either internal dispatch of logistics or external logistics through third-party haulers. And finally, operations is concerned about our people, either the utilization of our people, how they're being used, when they're being used, and for what purpose. Operation cares about all of those things. Accounting is trying to account for all of the cost and revenue as it relates to those components, and that's why it's tied at services. In NWIS, we break things out into three specific areas. The who's. Who are we doing business with? From a CRM standpoint, it's the customer relationship or building up of our prospects, but at the end of the day, we try to drive them all to become a customer. Now, in our environment, we have a dual relationship with our business partners. Sometimes customers are vendors, and sometimes vendors are customers. Sometimes we charge for a service and pay a rebate. Each one of those business partners have sites that we have to manage, or what we call task sites. Those sites or locations that are being serviced can sometimes have different rates and workflows based on the type of material. So sometimes I'm paying for it, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm charging for it, sometimes I'm not, depending on the sites that we have. The who's. What are we doing with those particular people, or those particular who's, are the services. Services dictate specific workflows around areas such as transportation. If I have a service transportation, that transportation may have to go out to a third-party hauler, or it may drive our own dispatch board so that our own internal teams have to drive the dispatch of our resources. Or it can be related to equipment, either the processing of using equipment to process material or equipment that might be at a specific task site. Services also might be driven back to material. The types of material will drive different workflows, different recipes on how they're supposed to be managed. Some material may go straight through, others may go through a single stream process, or a separation process, or a blending process. And through all of those, we call those treatments or production. Those treatments, which is unique to our environment, is basically the reverse bomb or reverse material of taking a finished good and breaking it back down into its raw valued components. It's something unique to our industry because we're not building something, we're separating it and creating value out of that separated material. Each one of those treatments or recipes are unique to each type of material flow that's coming in. And of course, the people who might be involved. If I'm doing an audit of material or I'm doing a leads report, I have people who are involved with building that up. I need to manage those people around that what we are doing for them. The who's, the what's, and finally the how's. How do we bring it all together? At the end of the day, everything ends up as an order. If I drive specifically based on a quote that I create, maybe it's material that's coming across our scale, or it's being driven directly from a contract. Contracts, like quotes and service ticket and scale tickets, create orders. Some of these orders are reoccurring orders, such as pick up every Wednesday. Some of these orders may be driven directly from off a scale ticket for a reoccurring customer. Contracts drive the inbound and outbound relationship of the rules of the game of what and how we're supposed to handle material, as well as the financial component of who gets paid what, when, and where. An order can be comprised of both AR and AP functions. What I mean by that is, on an order, we could have a service that we're charging a certain amount for a pickup, but at the same time, for that specific material, I might be paying a certain rate per ton. I could also have a third party service provider who might be providing the hauling for that particular material. It's all in the same order, which then drives the workflow on what has to be billed, who has to be paid, and what has to happen with that material when it arrives, or what happens to happen to that material when it leaves. At the end of the day, it all flows into accounting so that you can account for it, either through invoicing or through accounts payable of the payment of a check.